Yeah, I just got that.
You okay is this going all right?
It doesn't hurt, it just sounds bad.
Okay. At least
I won't do a majority of the talking.
All right. As long as it's not like hot asphalt just dripping down your throat, then, I'm fine.
Okay, that's how we open the show, right? Like that. So I'm going to kick off the intro here. We're not going to be doing anything crazy because I kind of, I've blown through 3 that are pretty good in the last 3 episodes. So we'll just say that I'll be doing a Dean Malenko impression for this one. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Nerd or Not podcast. I'm Jay. With me is Bob and Corey. I'm the man of 1,001 voices, or something like that.
Right.
And sometimes I dress like James Bond. This week, we are wrapping up our WrestleMania coverage with the exit ramp away from WrestleMania, off of the road to WrestleMania, to let everyone go home and just get ready to do it all again in 9 months because the road to WrestleMania, of course, starts in January for some fucking reason.
Because it has been decreed.
Yep. So this is part 4 of the Ultimate Thrill Ride. We are brought to you by Snickers because you're not yourself when you're hungry. And if there's anyone that knows that, it's me and Bob. And I'm also proud to report that Nerd or Not is proudly blocked by one John Bradshaw Layfield on Twitter because John Bradshaw Layfield is a colossal sack of steaming human refuse. How fucking dare you?
That's an insult to the refuse.
It really is. How fucking dare you, you awful human being? How fucking dare you? You're a bitch. Like I hope you get fired. I hope fucking Baz Rutten shows up and kicks the living shit out of you because you deserve it. You're an asshole. Go fuck yourself, John Layfield.
That's when it became seemingly real. When he got into a Twitter feud with a guy who's been like bending whole men in half for like 15 years.
Yeah.
That's fucking crazy. And the fact that he's still standing by that and being like, whatever.
The only thing you need to know about John Bradshaw Layfield is that this is the type of guy he is. When he starts getting into some fucking heat, he blocks people.
Yeah.
Because he's a pansy. He's a bully.
The funniest thing is about like you've known some controversial or followed some controversial people on Twitter.
Yes, I have.
I can dig their controversy up until they start using a block bot or until they start manually blocking people, which is just, which is funny. That's like, I don't know. That's like somebody who like goes out of their way to scoop water out of their toilet to dump it on people on the street. And then they run back into the house and they're like, wait, I've gotten more, that's manually finding fuckers that follow you and then blocking them. That's nuts.
Yeah.
Well, did you hear that he was blocking people who were following both him and Moralo
at the same time?
It's like he was going through a list like, okay. Oh, you're blocked. Okay. Oh, you're blocked. It sounds time consuming.
It's insane.
Was there just no prep for him before any of the shows last week? Who the fuck does that?
A fucking
John Bradshaw Layfield.
A piece of shit that has no fucking self-confidence and has to throw his 2-inch Texas dick around to pretend that he's some kind of fucking tough guy. When all he fucking ever did was hide behind Ron Simmons and ride his goddamn coattails. Fuck you, John Layfield.
The Texas 2-inch. That should be his new stage name.
Yeah, he's got the 2-inch hat that he wears. Not the 10-gallon. Fuck you, you wannabe cowboy living Bermuda piece of shit. So let's talk about something fun. Let's get away from John Bradshaw Layfield because we've given him enough time.
Yeah.
I think we can do one good fuck JBL chant every week, no matter what the subject is, because fuck JBL. But I want to talk about a game. I haven't done this in a while.
Go ahead.
I am going to talk about a game. It is wrestling themed. It's called the Super Show. It is absolutely wonderful. Corey, you were there when I got it at Gen Con last year. So it's a card and dice game for 2 to 6 players. It is called the first unpredictable card game because you have to play different cards in order to get to play other cards.
Right.
And you have to get a pin because it is wrestling. There's a crowd meter involved that raises throughout the game. The crowd meter increases the effectiveness of your finish card.
Oh, wow.
And when a finished card is played, a player attempts to pin or submit his opponent with a finished dice roll. They roll their skill dice. Opponent has 3 dice rolls called breakout rolls to beat the count because it is a referee's 3 count. And of course, when the game is played, you are absolutely 1000% encouraged to count along, going 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
I talked to some of the guys at Gen Con last year that make the game.
Mhm.
These are not people that are just picking up a wrestling license to make a game with a wrestling license. These are guys that are huge wrestling fans that wanted to make a true to life wrestling game. So, we can talk about the Superstar Shakeup sometime, I suppose, but not today. Today we are talking about Wrestlemania, the ultimate thrill ride. If you guys saw NXT TakeOver, we're going to gloss over that real quick by saying NXT TakeOver was fucking phenomenal.
Yeah.
Top to bottom, one of the best wrestling shows I've ever seen. Match of the year was easily the DIY Authors of Pain match. They made all 3 of those teams look incredible.
Yeah.
I usually don't dig monster teams like the Authors of Pain, but I enjoyed them in that match, even though they beat my favorite 2 teams in DIY and Revival. And I unfortunately, as Bob and I were talking about earlier, it does mean that they are unstoppable right now. So they need to build up another monster team to beat them. And unfortunately, now you're in just this downward spiral of
yeah. Those other teams had to sell like fuck the entire match.
Yeah, but it was incredible. The whole event was really good. Return of Cassius Ohno to NXT television or NXT live events with TakeOver. We got to see Drew McIntyre in the crowd, which is awesome. But let's talk about the main event. So we are not going to talk about the results because it's been 2 weeks since the show. You guys all know who won the matches and what happened. But you know what? I'm not going to say we because this is not something that Corey or I came up with. This is all Bob here, and I want to give proper credit where it's due. Bob had the goddamn brilliant idea to do this as let's compare the matches to our favorite theme park attractions from Orlando, since this was the ultimate motherfucking thrill ride. So we all independently, none of us know what the other one selected, have written down what we would compare the matches to and why we would compare them to these particular rides. So Bob, let's start with, we're going to go right down through the card in order, starting with the Cruiserweight Championship match, Neville versus Austin Aries. Bob, what did you go with?
Since it's the very first thing out of the match, the very first thing I thought of is what's the first ride at Epcot? Spaceship Earth.
Yeah, Spaceship Earth.
And it's right there in the very front. No other park is like that, where the ride is right there. You go through the gates, boom. And it did remind me a lot of Spaceship Earth. It's the first thing you see. And after the match, you feel like you learned something.
I like it.
Can I say that I feel like I'm being spoken to by Terry Funk?
So, now listen here, Cactus. What you need to do is go out there and you need to sell and grab the chair and hit me as hard as you freaking can. Got that, Cactus?
Wow, Bob, you have found your voice. You have found your voice.
Yeah, but he has to become almost debilitatingly ill to pull it off.
Well, hey, you know what? Sacrifices are needed sometimes.
That's true. Bob, we're going to need you to chew on a carton of cigarettes at least once per week so that you can do that for our amusement from now on.
All right, Corey, what did you go with Neville versus Aries?
Neville versus Aries. I went with Tom Sawyer's Island because that was the one that I was going to be looking forward to the most, despite it not being the main attraction and you knowing full and well that there are going to be other amazing things throughout the show. You got to make the beeline to Tom Sawyer's Island, and the experience somehow makes you feel strangely tall.
So my pick for Neville versus Aries was The Amazing Spider-Man. It was not nothing you'd ever seen before, but it's the perfect way to kick off your day. A spectacular opening act.
Solid. Huh.
All right.
Anyway.
On to the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. Bob, what did you have?
For this one, I picked Mission Space because it was long, it was heavy on your chest, and I'm pretty sure it killed 4 people in the process.
Okay, Corey.
Which works. Unfortunately, I won't be able to top that, but here we go. It was the Dwarves Mine Train. Was surprising, but not in ways that would necessarily be called fun, for me anyway. And the ending was very abrupt and ultimately disappointing.
Fair enough. I went with the Tomorrowland Speedway. It was too many people, too long a line, and it had a disappointing ending. And for some reason, Rob Gronkowski was there.
Like on the raceway, kind of like dodging cars for training exercise, or
just dancing with his penis flopping out naked, just because it's Gronkowski.
Is that why Gronkowski goes to Disney World?
Of course. Why else would Gronk go to Disney World?
Oh my God. All right. Fun for the whole family. The Gronkowski clan is here. They round him up like they do the Brazilian tourists. And they're like, okay, we can't throw you out, but you stay the fuck away from us.
Now, Gronk, I'm going to tell you, when you're out there on the speedway, those cars don't move very fast. You're able to dodge them just leap over them. They go like 2 miles an hour. It's real easy.
Oh my God, conversations with the Funker. This is so wonderful.
Don't put any pantyhose over your head, or I'm just not going to be able to tell. I'm going to be like, that is genuinely Terry Funk. Why am I not in Orlando to get an autograph right now?
All right. Dean Ambrose versus Baron Corbin for the Intercontinental Championship.
For me, I decided to go with a ride that's not even open yet, and that's Jimmy Fallon's Race Through New York at Universal Studios. It's very early inside the park, just like this match was early on. It was still in the pre-show. You didn't know what to expect, and you just hope for the best.
So you're kind of like thinking in terms of like like a theme park positioning, I suppose. Like what would be the first thing you hit?
Well, when it comes to this, when I first heard they're opening this Jimmy Fallon ride, I'm thinking I don't know what to think about that. That sounds weird. Just like this match was.
I did Splash Mountain because most of it was like a bit mollifying. The crowd was not really into it at all, and I was kind of like on the edge of inaptitude throughout the whole thing. I really wanted to like it because it was Ambrose beating on Baron Corbin. But the ending does snap you awake. That end of days reversal was quite the fucking thing. And everybody in the crowd, like, I think was sync with that too. They were like, here's the match we were looking for. And then it was over just like that. So that's your...
I went with Minions. The match was a little too short to be great. It could have gone for a few more minutes to really kind of build up the story a little bit. It felt rushed. But parts of it were really enjoyable, and the abrupt ending was pretty awesome. AJ Styles versus Shane McMahon. Bob,
for me, I picked Men in Black for this one. We all love Men in Black, and this match was much, much better than I initially thought it was going to be. And I just decided I wanted to see it again as soon as it was over. Just like Men in Black. Wanted to go back on immediately.
Okay. What'd you have, Corey?
Sorry. What was it? AJ McMahon. Back to the Future, which was a virtual stunt-terrific spectacular that leaves you feeling beat the fuck up and exhausted afterwards. Because you're enjoying the entire thing. Like, oh, shit, there's the garbage can. Oh, my God, he made another insane move and yet didn't fucking jeopardize his spinal cord. And then after all that's done, you feel almost like you were McMahon in that match, and you don't want to see any more. It's through for you.
Fair enough.
And then you sit back down like this.
I went with Pirates of the Caribbean. It's perfectly paced. The showmanship's incredible. There's so much to see every which way you look. And the second you're done, you want to get back on because it's such a good ride.
That's true for Pirates.
Yeah.
I would have needed a good 10-minute wait if Pirates was exactly like the Styles McMahon match, but in my case.
All right, Bob, Owens and Jericho.
Oh, I'm going to first say, I'm going to tell you this. When Jericho came on, I can't not do it. Now that you said it, it's in my head. Lifelong Jericho fan. His music hits and it starts with a countdown. Oh my God. I was like, I get to see this in person, a countdown. It was a new one. And it was like a Technicolor, but that's the match. We're not talking matches. I was looking forward to this since a month before WrestleMania. So I have to compare this to Big Thunder Mountain because that's one of my favorite rides. Mm-hmm. It makes me like all kinds of happy, and the match, just like the ride, is better at night.
Cool.
Yeah, that's right. That was the one where it was like daylight when it started, and it segged into evening as the match went on. That was a pretty neat effect. Dueling Dragons.
Okay, that's good.
I didn't. Because A, obvious metaphor.
Yep.
B, the easy comparison, and I don't want to read my summary here like word for word, but that countdown can be like compared to one of the best coaster buildups in the industry, because as I was hearing that countdown, or as I was I guess reconstituting it, I could imagine that the coaster is like beginning to head up, wow, 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 you know, and then as soon as you hear the fireworks and then break the walls down, the dip occurs.
Sure.
And I thought that the pacing was similar. But what better of a metaphor for the narrative evolution in this match than the harsh twists and turns of a tandem inverted rail coaster? Wow, that was really on point 3 hours ago, me. Shit. Give yourself a break. Damn. All right. So that's that, Dueling Dragons. And they better not tear that bitch down.
So I went with Space Mountain. You know it's going to deliver. You know exactly what it's going to be. You know it's going to be great. And even though you know all of this, it still makes you so happy because it makes every match that came before it better because of the euphoria, and everything that comes after it worse because nothing can live up to it. All right, so next we've got Bailey versus Nia Jax versus Charlotte versus Sasha. Bob, what you got?
This one was actually tough for me. I decided to go ahead and compare it to E.T.
Okay.
It's just been the last half of the match hallucinating? What the fuck?
Well, yeah, kind of. The match itself, it was just like the ride. It was cute. It had very low shock value to it. And as soon as it was over with, you feel like, okay, I don't ever have to do that again.
That ride is fucking bizarre. And it's not gotten like less strange as time goes on. My ride was the Funtastic World of Hanna-Barbera, which I dearly miss.
Yeah.
And the reason I use that one is because to start with, it's blindingly colorful. It's just like a fucking production tour de force. Visually does not let up. In between the costumes and the lights and such. Note that this is not the one that Naomi was in. That's for later, and I do have an appropriate ride for that. But blindingly colorful, all the action happens at the beginning, but after a certain plot break, Nia Jax getting tossed out seems to taper off. Also seems a whole lot like another ride nearby, which in this case is the Authors of Pain DIY revival match from a couple of nights before, where something similar had happened. The teams converged to try to beat down the bigger threat. Except in this match, it worked.
Yeah.
The other one, not so much.
I went with the Simpsons ride because of the loud, bombastic colors and the crazy lighting and the fact that it was basically like a living cartoon.
Similar idea. Yeah.
Ultimately, during the match, everything is going to be safe and fine and wonderful and happy. But there's that one spot that makes you go, ooh. Like when Charlotte did the corkscrew moonsault, where you go, okay, all right, now everything's fine. All right, okay.
That was different.
But it's ultimately, at the end of the day, it's a really safe match. It's a really safe ride. And you can walk away going, I am neither satisfied nor dissatisfied. It was just a match. The partially fractured Hardys versus Enzo and Cass versus Sheamus and Cesaro versus the Club. Bob, what did you have?
This one I had to compare to the Hulk.
Okay.
Because we knew the Hardys were coming out. We just didn't know how, when. So it was still kind of a surprise when they came out. So, the Hulk, it's fast paced. It's rockingly loud. It has you screaming, just like I was. I marked out pretty hard when the Hardys came. I think I was yelling at Corey's ear.
I couldn't tell. I couldn't hear a fucking thing for like a good 5 minutes. I picked the Hulk too, for a different reason. I didn't want to be first of all, like the Hulk is loud, but for a lean maybe 2 to 3 seconds, by that point, like by the time like the shock value wears off, you're all of a sudden doing the loop-de-loops, and then it becomes like strangely peaceful with the wind blowing in your face and the crowd just below you. It's weird. It's like, I don't know. It's like an assault of meditation. Anyway,
Okay.
I picked the Hulk because that first part of the match is very much like the first part of the Hulk ride, where that was like the concentration of reaction right there. When the Hardys came out, that was you getting shot out of the fucking cannon.
Mhm.
And that's all you're going to remember for the rest of the ride. Because as great as the rest of the match was, I think Jeff Hardy took a header off of a ladder or something, and then the greaseball special occurred, which you always make a note of because that's gorgeous every time it happens. The only thing you're going to remember is like the New Day introducing the Hardys, and then the Hardys coming out, and everybody losing their goddamn minds. Like a blimp full of $100 bills just exploded over the Camping World Stadium. So that was it. Yeah.
I did not go with the Hulk because I've never ridden the Hulk. This is where I used Men in Black. So on paper, this match shouldn't work at all. This should just be, it should be a mess.
Yeah.
Kind of like the idea of, hey, let's make a fun on-rails shooter starring the Men in Black. But you know what? It's loud, it's fun, it's fucking amazing, and you can't wait to see it again. I mean, this is a match that I watched 3 times in a row. Kind of like
comparison.
Bob and I went to Universal and rode Men in Black 3 times in a row. So yeah, that's where my Men in Black play comes in.
Oh, fucking fantastic.
So next, John Cena and Nikki Bella versus The Miz and the Maurice. Bob, what do you have? It's not the Maurice, it's just Maurice. That wasn't even on purpose.
It might have been suggested to her at some point.
I did not care for this match. When I first heard about it, I thought this is such a waste. And then the Miz's promos started up, and I couldn't get any more of it. I thought, just build it up. I know it's going to happen, but then it's going to have the annoying part. So I compared it to It's a Small World, for the kids, because they're the ones who really invested in it.
Fair enough.
For kids.
What you got, Corey?
I picked Twister because the lead-in was fantastic. It was like Paxton and Hunt doing their thing, and then there was nothing after that, really. And I couldn't really get up because go figure, this was when most of the concession stands were starting to get loaded down. So I was there mainly because I was with somebody else who wanted to go, and the fucking lines for everything else were full.
I went with the Hall of Presidents because I skipped that match like I do skip Hall of Presidents.
Yeah.
And ultimately it ends with a really boring speech. So it's
That's true. Well, except in this case, George Washington didn't propose to Abraham Lincoln.
well, at least not in the last cut.
Not in the...
All right. Seth Rollins versus Triple. What you got, Bob?
Seth Rollins. Let's see. Oh, yes. I compared this one to Soren because it was really cool to see for the first time. I mean, and granted, the match was a decent match. It was really cool seeing it for the first time. But unfortunately, just like the ride, you have to wait several hours to get on the damn thing.
All right, what you got, Corey?
I kind of went in a similar direction with that, and this is where I used MIB because you don't really have to wait a whole lot to get on to Men in Black, especially nowadays. But that walkthrough is like one of those exceptionally involving ones.
Uh-huh.
Heading through the headquarters and taking almost like a quasi tour. But the match itself was old school. It was probably like the most old school match of the entire show.
Uh-huh.
Which, sorry, Taker. I mean, good old school match. But a lot of those matches demand not insubstantial emotional investment from the audience. They reach out and grab the people and make sure that they're paying fucking attention. And that, like, as good as like modern day spot fests are, not a whole lot of them endeavor to that sort of a height.
I went with Expedition Everest. It was really big. There was a lot for it to live up to, and there were some really big spots in it. But ultimately, there was just something in it that didn't work.
Like a frozen Yeti?
like a frozen Yeti. So it didn't quite live up to my hopes. It was a really solid B.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was good. It was really good. And on any other pay-per-view, it probably would have been the best match of the night. But it was solid B.
But at least it didn't
kind of like Everest is.
It didn't get an F for Frozen Yeti, though.
No, not a Frozen Yeti. No. Randy Orton versus Bray Wyatt in ugh.
Bray Wyatt, Randy Orton.
We had to make this entertaining.
Yeah. The most disappointing match of the night, without a doubt.
Yep.
I had to compare this one to Winnie the Pooh. Because guess what that replaced?
Yeah.
At least in Disney World. I don't think, they built something else in Disneyland. But anyway.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Winnie the Pooh replaced Mr. Toad's Wild Ride, which it kind of matches because there's a big heavyset guy and then there's a hyperactive guy that nobody cares about. But Winnie the Pooh is basically it's a dark ride. If you've never been on it, some weird shit goes down in that ride. Like Pooh goes into like a hallucination state, and he starts dreaming, and then there's huffalumps and woozles, and instead of cockroaches and worms running around, and then it just ends.
Okay, Pooh's one of the ones that I don't have like any familiarity with whatsoever. Wait, no, we went on it once actually, and I don't remember a goddamn thing about it.
Kind of like the Orton Wyatt match.
I guess I don't know. I remember the clever like canvas tricks and shit, very spooky and stuff. But Pooh, I don't. I remember seeing Mr. Toad handing the deed over to that owl person. Wow, people are like Disneyites watching this are like, fucking get that guy out. I'm gonna kind of like bite off of Jay's here. The Disney World Grand Prix Speedway, and I wrote here, and I'm quoting because fuck that shit. What a Grand Prix anyway? Who fucking cares? Similar sentiments I offer to the Wyatt and Orton match. That is not to say the men involved because they probably had, I don't know. Nobody sets out to create garbage.
Sure. I'm
just gonna try to be, diplomatic like that, of course. But fuck that.
So I went with a great movie ride. On paper, this should be awesome. There's tons of buildup. It's spectacle. It's bigger than life. It's crazy. It's amazing. Like the facade is wonderful.
No, are you talking about in terms of like the way they built up the storyline?
I'm talking about everything.
Everything?
The facade of this match going into it should be amazing.
Okay.
But when you get inside, it's pretty fucking boring and not very good. And you kind of just, there's one or two spots where you're like, oh, hey, cool, look, it's the alien.
Yeah.
But, other than that, it's like, oh, and one other thing for the great movie ride, there's really shitty effects in it, just like there were in that match. So, yeah. All right, let's move on to the undercard main event here. Bob, Brock Lesnar versus Billiam Goldberg.
Back in the WrestleMania 20, when these two guys put on a shit storm or a shit show, I should say, a shit storm. It was shit. It was garbage. It was terrible.
So there was a fecal fountain.
Yeah, there was a lot of crap. I was basically hoping whatever we can, just get the best out of this situation as we can. And that's where we got the Seven Dwarfs Mine Train. It was very fast. It was a lot better than you thought it was going to be. And it was basically just thriller filler until the next thing came along. You weren't sure what.
Sure.
I went with the teacups for this one.
Okay.
I went with the teacups because these guys have been around for a while. They've done their dime. And you think that you know what to expect from a match that's as WYSIWYG as the teacup ride. You sit down, you spin for a bit, but then you spend the majority of it just like, what? And you're in a haze. You're in like just delirium the entire time. And then just, wait, it's over? What? That was pretty neat. And then you leave and hopefully you don't vomit.
I went with Jurassic Park. I didn't expect anything from these dinosaurs.
There it is.
And looking back at it, it was pretty fucking cheesy, but there's a big splash in the end, and god damn it, it was pretty fun.
Yeah.
It was,
that's reasonable, yes.
yeah, it was. I went in with like, man, this match is gonna suck. And I walked away going, oh, the match is pretty fucking good.
And it's kind of like I'm sorry, I'm gonna like draw more extensions from the teacups thing. They did so much with so little.
They really did.
Yeah, it was just like there was nothing for them to work with really. And like
Five moves.
Is just
That's
what's up?
5 moves. That's all they did. The entire match was 5 total moves between the 2 of them.
They got up to 5?
Did you count the leapfrog as one?
Oh, that's right. That happened.
Yeah.
All right. So
yeah, it was just like I was like, what? Holy shit! Wow. Okay.
I mean, it was at least better than
fast 2 minutes.
Yeah. But it was better than at least a good, I don't know, one of the other matches in this show so far.
I mean, I went in expecting the carousel.
And
I got Jurassic Park. That's a goddamn good improvement.
That's a win. I call that a win.
Yeah.
And if you had told me that would have been the better world champion match or championship match on the card, I would have laughed in your face. Like, no way. No way.
Oh yeah, because if that was like a quadrant of mediocrity, at least 1/4 of it would be Wyatt. And salvaging the affair is still in the cards.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Next, we've got Naomi versus Alexa Bliss versus Carmella versus Natalya versus Mickie James versus Becky Lynch in the SmackDown Women's Championship match 6-pack challenge.
I call this one Naomi versus the World because I forgot who was in it. except for Mickie James. But you go first.
And
I couldn't remember Natalya's name for the longest time in my write-up. So mine was everyone's name, and then the last one was that blonde girl that's very short and nice. I could not remember what her name was.
But not in an accurate description.
Yeah, it was like... All right, Bob.
This one I'd have to compare to the Tomorrowland People Mover, which that's my favorite ride. And I was kind of looking forward to this to see what they would do with it. I think they misbooked it by bringing Naomi back on the SmackDown previously, but it was a very relaxing. I don't know, relaxing, but the ride is relaxing. The show, the match itself, it was fun to watch. It didn't get me too riled up. It didn't get me depressed in any way. It was very nice and smooth. It had a enjoyable finish and lots of pretty lights as well.
The People Mover is my favorite dining table in Disney. I mean, they don't have an actual table, but you're bringing snacks onto that bitch anyway. Yeah. Anyway, I did the Enchanted Tiki Room.
Okay.
Because
which version?
The one before they revamped it back to whatever the fuck it was. Before they made the goddess move out and take up residence in Trader Sam's. But the drinks are better over there anyway, so hey.
They're wonderful.
Right. Because the Tiki Room, an Orlando favorite, much like Naomi. B, some sketchy yet well-meaning references to other cultures. Mickie James's ramp attire.
Yeah. I
don't know if that's what she was going for, but I guarantee you that wasn't anybody in that bowl that was like, what the fuck, Mick? You're either A, being pretty damn insensitive right now, or B, Blanca? I don't really. Kind of obscure, I guess, but even that's kind of sketch. And the Japanese get away with it by virtue of being Japanese, and how they view the rest of the world through their very bizarre cartoony lens, which is in itself a stereotype. Well, whatever. That's a rabbit hole. So it was a performance tour de force, despite being not too innovative. It's just the Enchanted Tiki Room's just like talking heads and shit.
I had originally gone with something kind of similar to that because it felt good, and it was I originally had Country Bear Jamboree because I was like, everything just kind of works, even when it doesn't.
Yeah,
it's not supposed to. But ultimately, I went with Peter Pan. You had to wait a really long time to be able to enjoy it.
Oh, that's that's true.
And ultimately, the match itself was pretty uneventful, kind of like Peter Pan. but there was lots of black lights. And you know what? The ending's nice and the ride is kind of fun. So it was a good match to have right before. Oh man.
Well, we're getting there.
It's hard to believe that this match was originally going to be on the pre-show.
Yeah.
And they moved it all the way to the end of the show.
Oh, well, that was a good move on their part.
Yes, it was.
Also, I can kind of see where you're coming with the Country Bear Jamboree link, though. For one thing, Carmella's rendition of "Blood on the Saddle" was pretty rousing just by itself.
Finally, Roman Reigns versus The Undertaker. What was your ride for this?
I have to compare this one to Carousel of Progress, the biggest waste of space in all the theme parks. It was the match itself was disappointing. It was sad, and it left me feeling a little bit angry. I don't know about you guys.
Kinda, yeah. Especially seeing that ring gear lying in the middle of the stage like that. That was the punctuation mark. That was the period at the end of the Undertaker's career. We kind of knew that it was going to be pretty much all downs talking about this match. So I try to take another approach to it. From a selling standpoint, T2, it would have been edgy as shit in the 90s. Pretty damn embarrassing as it is right now.
Makes sense.
Yeah, and I'm not quite sure if it was, I don't know, execution might have had something to do with that. I'm pretty sure it didn't help. But I think that, like, even just on the card itself, like if somebody held those two names up next to each other, it would have been like, no.
Yeah, Undertaker was moving around like he was a T100 or whatever they have in the ride.
Yeah. I kept wondering when he was going to short out. As it turned out, he actually kind of did near the bit of the match where he does this like, I'm sitting. No, it's nap time bit. Old Undy's taking a sleeper.
Ultimately, I went with the Carousel of Progress as well on this one. Looking at it, if you tell me, just not thinking about the competitors where they're at right now, okay, Roman Reigns versus The Undertaker, it's a marquee matchup. And if you say Walt Disney's vision of the future, that's something I want to see. But man, when you get into it, it's just really disappointing. And their vision of what the future of the industry or the world is going to be is really laughable. It's
thankfully Trips is there to pick up most of the slack. Yeah, because Vince's vision is pretty damn narrow. It can the focal point of it is pretty obvious by this point.
Oh yeah.
Well, you don't have to be afraid for too much. Now Reigns' place in like the bigger picture outside of Vince.
Yeah.
I would start I don't know. I would start vetting out what's wrong necessarily.
All right, Bob. So what you doing?
Anyway.
What am I doing?
I
wasn't prepared for this.
You weren't.
No, but luckily I have this right here. Last month day.
Did you say like margaritas or your penis?
I said it's a penis.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, like who hasn't seen that?
What?
Huh?
Okay.
He doesn't remember our last trip to Trader Sam's.
I'm reading some books right now that Corey got me. Thank you. More gifts from you guys. You guys are awesome. Thanos Imperative. What year did these come out?
That was
2010.
That was 2010. All right.
On the back.
That was actually when I wasn't reading comics. So I remember like when I was up in Indy, Jay was like trying to sell me super hard on these guys. And I'm like, all right, I'm going to do it. And I never did until like, I moved back down.
And then probably the greatest miniseries of all time, the War of Kings and Guardians of the Galaxy. Yeah. So thank you. I'm enjoying these.
Or as I call them, the one with Jack Flag in it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm doing. I started playing a game last night, just randomly, because it was I was kind of drunk,
Okay.
And I was scrolling through my Steam list, and I'm like, I can't do Monaco right now. And DuckTales pissed me off, so I deleted it. So I was like, what can I do? And this was one of those moments where you're like scrolling down the library, and you're like, shit, when did I buy that? I don't have any interest in this whatsoever. Now I'm curious. So I booted it up. It ended up being Call of Juarez Gunslinger, which was a AAA title released by Ubisoft back in 2013, I want to say.
Mm-hmm.
I'm guessing maybe I bought it because I had a Western theme, and surprise, I probably bought it while I was drunk and it was on sale, so who the hell knows?
Sure.
That's a surprisingly good goddamn game.
Really?
Yeah. It up to this point, the best Western game I had played, and I know people are going to crucify me for this. I've never played Red Dead Redemption. I really want to, but see, the one Western game I played up until this was Red Dead Revolver, and I remember trying to shoot with them sticks, and I'm not having that on a console, so fuck that noise. But it's shooting. I mean, it's an FPS. However, it starts out as a damn it. Sorry, this is probably going to be a part where you cut because I'm fucking blanking out like crazy here. All right. It starts out as like a narrative-driven FPS, but there is somebody telling the story to like a table full of listeners, and the listeners are interacting with them throughout the entire affair. However, this has rendered the entire game's story unreliable. It's a Western told by an unreliable narrator.
That's cool.
So this is what happens throughout the game. Something will happen. Say, you'll be trying to stop a stagecoach robbery. You'll gun down the first 3 guys that are an immediate threat, and you'll look up. Oh, shit, up on the cliffs. It's the rest of the gang. They're taking pot shots at me, but man, I'm going to clear them all out. So suddenly, they're back, but they're Apache Indians. And then the guy telling the story is like, them Apaches had me surrounded. And then another person at the table goes, this is for instance, wait, when were they Apache Indians? And the narrator goes, oh, I'm sorry. They came at me Apache style. So the Apaches turn into the rest of the gang, and they come down the cliffs and start chasing after you. That shit like happens all throughout the game.
That's really cool.
I know. It was.
It's like a playing through a fish story.
I guess so. Yeah, it's more like no, a fish story. Yeah, you're right. I'm sorry, I had to make the reference or the cognitive cognizance, whatever. Fuck it. I'm not doing good with words right now. But yeah, a lot of the games like that. And the reason I passed it up at the beginning is because, like, you know, a lot of AAA games are pretty homogenous. This one on the cover had a lot of browns and shit. The graphics aren't even like that. It is the Old West as like the most idyllic illustrators of the Old West like to present it. It's a hell of a thing, and I think the box and the marketing fucking killed it from achieving any sort of greatness. It's solid shit.
Cool. I'll check that out.
Uh-huh.
I am just getting back into playing Lego Dimensions.
Yeah.
I don't know what got me back here, and it'll probably be shelved again now that there's a new Overwatch event.
Well, what happened is because we got the good news.
We did get the good news. We did get the good news, although it still hasn't been confirmed.
Right.
So,
well, the bad news wasn't confirmed yet either.
Also true.
Right.
So knowing that it does not appear to have a finite date within the next 2 months at this point. Lego Dimensions was kind of like, oh yay, I can play again, and it's still going to be made. And then GameStop was nice enough to have a 50% off sale on every fucking thing. And they upped my credit limit on my GameStop card. So I was like, well, let's buy all that year 2 stuff I don't have yet.
Wow.
So yeah, I spent $50 and got, let me see, who did I buy? I bought the Gremlins Fun Pack. I got the Harry Potter and Voldemort pack. I got the B.A. Baracus 18 pack.
You have no, go ahead.
Did you get that one?
I do have that one. Have you seen the back of the box?
No.
Do you have the back of the box near you?
No, I already pitched it. I didn't even look.
Oh, okay. Go ahead. What's been your experience with it so far?
So the BA. I also got Knight Rider, and I've got Marceline, the Vampire Queen from Adventure Time, and one fucking other one coming that I can't. Oh, ET coming. Right. So I don't have those in the mail yet, but they should be here probably tomorrow. But the BA Baracus van build is one of the best builds I've had in that game yet. Like, there is a ton of little pieces in that fucking thing. And it's solid, like you would expect the A-Team van to be. Like,
right. It's like it's a mass.
Yeah, it's a weight of a brick build. You know, it's not a small thing.
I don't know if you've ever seen any of like the Toys R Us exclusive micro builds or Bricktober builds, but they're kind of a similar thing where it's just like a chunk, like a compacted chunk of plastic.
Yep.
One thing I wanted to ask you is if you had noticed, well, you know, you can fly. B.I. Baracus can use the plane in his expansion.
Really?
Have you not used the plane yet?
I haven't. I just got BA today, and all I did was build the van. I haven't gotten to anything else yet.
God, I almost don't want to spoil it because
he flies asleep. I hope
he flies asleep.
That's fantastic.
I know. I was like, wow, you guys went right down right into the fucking well for that. Bravo, fucking Traveler's Tales. That's ace. What like? What do you want to bet that somebody was on the team and they had that like all fleshed out and it was about to go gold and they were like, wait a fucking minute. There's no way B.A. Baracus is getting that fucking except with a lot less F words because network television back then.
Yeah. Very true.
It's network television, but yeah, I'm loving it. I'm avoiding the main story right now because I'm waiting for Meredith to stop playing Zelda so we can play together. But yeah, that's still a ways off. So I'm gonna keep playing level packs and everything like that, and just going to the different adventure worlds for now. But I beat the Back to the Future level yesterday. Was that one pretty solid?
No.
Oh, really? Oh.
The world is great. The world you unlock afterwards is wonderful. The level is really basic. It is not very long. It is not very difficult. And it's not terribly imaginative. There's some clever stuff when you start where you can bring in characters from other dimensions. That's pretty funny.
I was going to say a lot of that's modular, so you can like actually use the DeLorean in a much more interesting stage somewhere.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
But there's a particular bit where you activate something on the portal, not by using any figures or anything like that. It's not like you call in a character, but a particular thing happens, and this character shows up and just flies through the level singing a song and then disappears, and it's hilarious.
Marvin Berry?
No, not Marvin Berry. It is not a character from Back to the Future universe.
Okay. All right.
It's someone else, and I don't want to spoil it.
Okay, don't spoil it.
But it is it's a far cry better than the Sonic level was, which is still the hottest of fucking garbage I've ever played. But nowhere near as awesome as Midway Arcade. So.
And songs will be sung of Sonic's mediocrity.
Oh, it's so fucking bad.
Yep. He's the blue dude with a toot and a shitty expansion for level Lego Dimensions.
Yep.
Yeah, I was gonna start playing it today, but I've really got to kill my backlog. It's got to die.
Sure.
Maybe after another 2. And I just started a new one last night. That was good. X-lax, smooth moves. Anyway.
All right, so let's wrap it up since we are very clearly derailed. Next episode, we will not be talking about pro wrestling, with the exception of to say fuck JBL. Bob, any idea what we will be talking about next time?
God, you never know what's going to happen. I mean, we just had a Thor trailer dropped on us 2 days ago, and the world went nuts.
How many times have you watched that motherfucker now?
Lots.
I stopped after double digits. I was getting self-conscious about it. That hadn't gotten me jazzed for a movie in ways that like fucking. When was the last time I got fucking that crazy about a movie? Maybe the first Pirates film. Jesus H.
So yeah, maybe we should talk movies on the next one, because we've got that trailer, we've got a Last Jedi trailer dropping this week.
Some under the radar shit like Free Fire, which I'm looking forward to.
Yep, bunch of stuff coming out, and it's almost summer movie season, so it is about that time, boys. Blockbusters, yay!
Summer is coming.
So yeah, we will be talking movies on the next episode of the Nerd or Not podcast.
We're talking movies.
As always, subscribe to the channel, like the videos, comment. We want to hear from you. We don't hear from you enough. You are starting to give us, ideas in inferiority complexes. So talk to us. Tell us what's going on.
We're getting some good feedback.
Yeah. Find us on social media. We are at Cretans Guild, one word. or search for us on anywhere, really. Just Cretans Guild. There's not really another Cretans Guild out there.
What you got to do is just go on to any social media and just type in Cretans Guild. That's like with the capital C. Well, actually, it doesn't matter if you capitalize. You can just type in Cretans Guild. Is it one word? Is it two word? I think it's one. Yeah, you can do one word, and then you hit it with a chair.
Terry, you press enter. You don't hit it with a chair.
I'm old. I don't know what I'm saying anymore.
Hey, have you retired yet, Terry?
No. I got a match down at the Armory tomorrow morning.
Who are you fighting, Greg Valentine?
No, Jake the Snake. He's going to throw his first snake at me, even though it died about 20 years ago. He's going to just heave the motherfucker at me.
He's got to be on Damien 6 by now. Wait, how long do snakes live? I think it's longer than we're assuming.
Too long.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Bob doesn't like snakes.
That's right.
Oh, shit. Okay. All right, guys, that's going to do it. We will talk to you soon. Gents, thank you. Great show as always. And we'll see you later.
Hit it with a chair.